Hello, love. Short story about my experience disclosing after the fact to somebody who I was sleeping with, sometimes with and sometimes without a condom. And I already had been diagnosed with herpes, but I was still in disbelief. I was still in denial. I still felt like that's not what's happening. I don't have herpes. I'm too smart. I'm a smart girl. I'm too smart to have herpes. Like, it's not possible for me. But it was. My experience with disclosing after the fact was one that was incredibly challenging because this is somebody who I had gotten to know for a while and was, I had like a very different kind of relationship with this person before we were like, hey, we should go for drinks. And I feel like we built up a lot of trust. I feel like we had built up a lot of intimacy, not only emotional intimacy, because we were in the trenches together and we really were there supporting and helping each other and handling a lot of things socially that really bonded us and made us feel like a team and made us feel like we could really depend and rely on each other to be open and challenge each other to grow and develop in really powerful ways. And this is why when I had been diagnosed with herpes, and I say this as like, I had been diagnosed as in a doctor told me that's what my symptoms meant I had. I hadn't been tested because he didn't suggest it, because he said there were a lot of false negatives all the time and false positives all the time. And so it wouldn't be worth it for me. So I mean diagnosed as in like somebody told me that that's what my symptoms were showing. And like I said, I didn't really believe it, and I was so paranoid about and anxious about other people finding out that I didn't even like Google it. You know, I was too afraid to like even Google the symptoms and like confirm that what I was experiencing was herpes. And so when I met this person and when I started to get to know this person, I already had been diagnosed, but I didn't believe it. It wasn't a part of my my immediate experience. It wasn't a part of my immediate knowledge of what my body was going through. I was so deeply in denial and continuously disconnecting from people in a lot of ways, and entering into a friends with benefits, our fuck buddy relationship with this person felt really natural and felt really empowering because he really appreciated and loved my body for the way it was. I was also starting on I like just recorded a video about this. I was also on like my body hair growth journey of like loving my pubic hair and loving my pussy for the way that it is and for the way that it looks and for the way that it feels. And he was really supportive, and he was really his appreciation for my body was really monumental for uplifting my own beliefs in the sexiness and the beauty of my body. So he did a lot for me, and although we never slept together with or without a condom, when I was having an outbreak, or when I thought I might be having an outbreak, because I can tell, you know, there's like a tingle, there's like this kind of like tingly itch that starts to come on, and I know based on like when my lesion would appear, and I was getting you know, sensitivity in certain areas. Like, I would know when I was getting an outbreak. I would know when I was getting an outbreak, and I would know when I had an outbreak. And those were times when I felt unsexy anyway, and I didn't feel like I was in the mood. So, you know, at those times, like, I would turn him down, and I would just like, nah, I'm too busy, or I'm dealing with whatever, or I need a night in, or whatever. But in the times when it was gone and I felt normal, when I was feeling like when I was feeling normal again, those would be the times that I'd be like, I'm a rock star goddess. I love that this person loves my body, and I want to make them feel as sexy as they make me feel whenever I'm not dealing with these weird symptoms that I still don't believe is herpes, that I just believe are like yeast infections and irritation from my thongs, from wearing thongs, you know, too many days in a row, and it would come before I would get my period. So I thought I was getting herpes symptoms because my immune system was low, and that's something that I had read about. And I had all of these other reasons that helped me, that really created this story that supported my belief that it wasn't herpes for a long time. And gosh, I'm like exhausted just like thinking and talking about this, because it was after several months of like sleeping together that I was like going on, it was like a holiday break, it was like winter break or something, that I finally was like, okay, we're, you know, obviously not going to be able to see each other for a while, so I'm just going to do some like self-care and self-love and self-discovery. And I finally decided to look up herpes symptoms, and was like, and not just like herpes symptoms, but like the symptoms I was experiencing, and see if it came up in which contexts it would come up. So I put in like lesion before menstrual cycle, and the first thing that WebMD and then like 2 other sites were telling me was it could be genital herpes. And that for me was like more convincing than a male doctor telling me that that's what it might be, but tests might not give me any assurance. After that, I felt assured. After I looked it up, and these specific symptoms that I hadn't really noticed, like I hadn't, when I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed for the first time, I hadn't really been experiencing the patterns for long enough to know that I was getting outbreaks right before my period. I didn't know that like after the like 3rd time or the 4th time that I had an outbreak, and I finally went to the doctor and was like, what the fuck is this? It was only after months and years of experiencing this that I recognized the pattern, and that I was able to understand that this wasn't going away. So telling this person that I had herpes, I messaged them through Facebook and was like, I need to tell you something important. I'm really sorry about this. I didn't even want to believe it for myself, and, you know, obviously my intention was never to hurt you, and I'm really sorry for what this might do to your mental state, but like my mental state has been totally fucked up until now, and I'm sorry. I'm just like totally sorry. And Of course, he was upset, and I basically shut down the part of him that was upset. I mean, like, I wanted to be open to him asking questions and for him to feel like he could accept that that was true, that what I was telling him was true, and maybe go and get tested for himself, or just like, become more aware if he's been having symptoms. So he knows what he's experiencing, and he has some answers. But I did shut him down in the area of being mad at me and trying to make me feel more guilt than I had already felt for months and years, honestly, because I felt like I've already suffered enough. I've already suffered so fucking much, and I know that maybe this is the beginning of a period of suffering for you, and I'm so sorry about that. At the same time, I can't carry anymore. I can't carry any more weight. I can't carry any more of the emotional load that it takes to combat the social and the emotional effects that the herpes stigma has. Because now I'm at this stage in my life where I see it as a skin condition, and when I attract somebody into my life who loves me and likes me enough that they want to pursue me, not in spite of my condition, but because they see my strength and because they value me, because they value what I contribute as a person and as a whole. You can see that I'm still struggling with my worth and with my value and my deservingness in this area when it comes to being desired by others. I just want to be open and clear with that. I'm still struggling with that, and yet I feel like I'm so much further than I was months ago, years ago. But, something that I did shut down and that I needed to do for myself was, please don't give me and lay on me anything other than, exactly what you need to get from me. Because you don't need to get my guilt. You don't need that in order to process this. You don't need my sense of, my feelings of failure in order for you to feel better about this. Do you? I don't think you do. So it was hard, and we are still like friends on Facebook, but that doesn't mean shit for a lot of people, and I've been really trying to like give him space and I guess not be like more of a burden than I already feel in his life, although I really still appreciate him and I value him as a person and I care about him. But I know that, everybody has their own journey and everybody has their space that they need to understand and embody what they're going through. So I give him space. I give him space, and I give me space from, wanting to take on that guilt, because I want to take on the guilt too. There is a part of me that wants to take on the guilt, and yet I feel so good about myself for setting that boundary of like, I won't take on the guilt and I won't accept the guilt that anyone else is trying to put on me for this experience. So that is one of my disclosure stories that, as you see, is still a difficult one for me to wrap my mind around and wrap my heart around. But I wanted to share it with you because I want you to know that it gets better, and the more that you share and the more that you unburden yourself, the less you feel like a burden, the less you feel like herpes is a burden. So I really encourage you to maybe write a letter to that person and burn it if you feel like you need to let go of like all of the shitty things that you think about yourself when you want to say it but you just can't, and you still are having a hard time exposing that part of yourself. And yet I also want to encourage you to take that chance. Take that risk of changing your relationship with that person, because you never know what might come out of it. In the end, when you're honest and when you're being true to yourself and you're being true to others, you attract more of that into your life. You attract more of those experiences where truth and vulnerability and appreciation for yourself and what you're going through and just acceptance of your own experience. You attract more of that into your life the more that you send it out as a boomerang into your vortex. So I love you. I hope that this unveiling of a part of myself has helped you to unveil some parts of yourself and will help you to unveil more about yourself to others in your sphere in the future. You're deserving of all the love you desire. I love you so much. Until next time, you're beautiful. You're deserving.